Well, we've got another patch courtesy of Valve and Yoshi, and I'm just going to start this patch off by showing you guys what you can do on Holiday, which is you can basically just send barrels super far. They've improved the barrels. As you can see, like I can basically snipe people. It's super easy, and you can shoot them really fast. So there's some pretty disgusting stuff in this patch, so let's go over the patch notes and let's see what's awaiting for us. All right, going over the patch notes, the first thing we have is the urn give up time has been changed from 75 seconds to 60 seconds. That means that the urn will give up faster and throw the souls in the air faster. The urn bounty has also been reduced by 10%, but it has not been changed for the trailing team. What this means is that the comeback urn is even stronger relative to the regular urn. So this changes two primary things. One, it's going to make it so trading walkers for the urn is going to be slightly better for the walker trade than before. The before was almost always a losing trade. Now I would say you're going to consider it slightly more again. And the second thing is that this buffs the comeback urn more. I think a lot of people have been complaining comebacks are very difficult, especially for the comeback urn. So this should make the comeback urn more useful overall. Breakable's health permanent bonus reduced from 15-25-35 to 15-20-30. Essentially, this does two things. One, this means people will not be as tanky. So this is like another way to attack heroes' health and kind of reduce that without changing base health or health gain per boon. And the other thing, in my opinion, is that when you think about, the snowball state the game has been in a little bit, where snowballs have been, pretty frequent and comebacks are hard right now. Well, usually the team that would be ahead would have more golden statue buffs. So nerfing the golden statue buffs makes it so comebacks, in theory, are slightly easier. At least that's my take on it. Kill comeback bounty values increased by 8%. Once again, I mean, this one's pretty obvious. Just makes comeback slightly easier. If you get some kills while you're behind, you're going to get rewarded more for it. In Street Brawl, all ability and item ranges are reduced by 10%. Opening rounds has had a change, so it's a bit more of a spirit item now. It gives slightly less weapon damage, but it gives 7 spirit power again. Arcane Surge, once again, getting bug fixes. I mean, I think it's already a great item, but once all the bugs are gone, it's going to be fantastic. So, it still didn't work on some abilities or some DPS or whatever. So that should be a lot better. Now, Apollo got a lot of changes, and I'll showcase some of these in-game, right? But essentially, the velocity of disengaging sigil has been increased, right? And now you can kind of like modify the direction yourself. And on top of that, you get the fire rate at tier 1 now, so you don't get the plus 30 damage. So this is actually kind of a slight nerf to his lane, but 25% fire rate, I don't really think is bad either. You're just going to build maybe 1 or 2 gun items early to take advantage of that. And then the tier 2 now gives you stamina and resets your air jump / dash limit. And the tier 3 allows you to recast the ability. Right, and you can also parry during Flawless Advance. So let me show you what that looks like. So as you can see here, I don't have no cooldown. I have the cooldowns enabled, right? And I've got Disengaging Sigil maxed. So what that looks like is I can input a direction, and as you can see, it's going to send me one way. So here right now, I'm holding A, so it's going to send me to the left. And if I hold D, it's going to send me more to the right, right? So I can control where I'm going to go, and then I can recast it. And if I hold S, it's going to send me further, away, right? I'm actually not sure what happens. So if I hold W, it's not really going to send me anywhere, which is kind of like how it was before. So this allows you to, control your movement, and this also will allow you to do some pretty crazy movement stuff, right? And it resets the air dashes if you hit someone. So for example, something that it could look like, let's say I have Stamina Mastery. Let me just enable no cooldown real quick. So if I were to go, let's say I go on Ivy, I do this, right? And then I can quickly use Stamina Mastery, and then I can use this again to then move away. So the movement potential with Apollo is going to be crazy once again. So he's back to more of a movement hero. This still gets shut down by Slowing Hex. I always thought that it was pretty weird that Disengaging Sigil got shut down by Slowing Hex, but realistically, it wasn't really that much of a movement ability. So now they've leaned more into Apollo just being a full-blown movement hero. And we'll see, how that works out, but it might be super obnoxious to play against. It might be fine. I'm not entirely sure. So I'll give it a couple days before I give my verdict on this one. So Bebop is being considered a bit more of a tank now. Let me zoom in a little bit. So Bebop Exploding Uppercut Tier 3 has been increased by 1%, the missing health that you gain. The Tier 3 duration has gotten a bug fix. And on top of that, they've changed the Sticky Bomb Tier 3 from giving you move speed and fire rate to giving you movement speed and debuff resistance, essentially leaning into a more of a tank Bebop build a little bit more. And it also applies retroactively, which is quite important against things like, for example, Infernus Afterburn or, Pocket Ultimate or things like that. And it doesn't say it doesn't work against Ultimate, so I assume it's going to work against things like Pocket. Calico got a lot of buffs, actually. So the Gloom Bomb's melee resist now stacks additively rather than multiplicatively, which makes sense. The Gloom Bomb's melee resist reduction per Gloom Bomb has been upgraded from -5 to -6, which is pretty significant. This is per Gloom Bomb. And then on top of that, it now applies it on impact rather than on the explosion, which means that if you Gloom Bomb and then right away you're going to Leaping Slash, you're going to do a lot of melee damage. And then Return to Shadows pretty much got buffs all around. 10 more base damage, 10 more damage on the tier 2, and 100 more healing on the tier 3. Now, Doorman, Callbell, Explosion, Spirit damage scaling reduced from 1.3 to 1.2, and the tier 3 Spirit scaling also got reduced a little bit. So just, bringing Doorman's damage down ever so slightly. Once again, I feel like they've nerfed him a couple times. They might keep nerfing him as well. The utility's still really strong, and he's been kind of an extremely strong hero, but, they nerf him a little bit. And Graves actually takes a really big hit, where Jar of Dead now basically takes 20% more, kills to recharge. On top of that, it does 1 less base damage, and it has worse scaling. And on top of that, it gives the enemy more souls when they kill them. So all of that contributes to Jar of Dead probably, being significantly nerfed. And on top of that, Grasping Hand tier 3 has also been nerfed a little bit. So I think all of these changes might be enough to make Graves balanced for the average player. And she might actually not be very good at high ranks. I already think she was a little bit worse at high ranks. But now, she might not be very good. Great Talon got his gun taken out back. So Great Talon's gun specifically has been nerfed by about 20%. So the gun cycle time has been nerfed by 4%. And the bullet damage growth has been nerfed by 15%. So if you add both of those, you've got about a 20% nerf to Great Talon's gun. And then on top of that, Rain of Arrows got 1 extra second of cooldown and got 1 less second cooldown reduction from the tier 2. Which means that instead of it being a 5-second downtime, if you have 2 points in it, it'll be a 7-second downtime. Holliday got a lot of changes. I showed you guys kind of a bit of a preview at the beginning, but Powder Keg now has an alt cast behavior to place the barrel at her feet. This is probably so that you don't get parried if you lasso someone. You know what I mean? Before you'd lasso someone, you'd want to barrel at your feet right away. So now you can probably alt cast it and then shoot it, and that'll be kind of a bit of a mix-up you can do to not get parried. The various improvements to launch angels. Now, I'm sure they meant angles, but essentially Powder Keg is super fast, and you can shoot it basically in a straight line. You guys saw at the beginning, it's crazy. It starts with 2 charges. The base charge time went from 3.5 to 7 seconds, but if you max it, you get even faster charge time than before. You get 2 seconds instead of 7. And if you have rapid recharge, it means you can shoot barrels every 1.4 seconds. We're kind of back to Holliday barrel spam, which had been a long time since it had really been that good, but now we're back to Holliday barrel spam. And she got a few AP changes, but yeah, basically you get you get at tier 3 you get plus 100 damage, right, which is a lot, and then you get plus 0.5 spirit scaling, and then on top of that you get minus 5 second charge time. So you've got an ability that gets plus 100 damage, and that's going to have 1.9 spirit scaling. That's going to be on charges that you can use every 1.4 seconds with rapid recharge, that are basically insanely fast projectiles that are really easy to aim. And so I'm actually thinking Holliday is going to be really good, maybe top tier, maybe needs a nerf. Well, maybe need a nerf, but it's been a while since Holliday's been really good, so I guess she can have her time. Fix some issues with bounce pads, sure. Bounce pad landing radius has been nerfed. And now you might be like, why would they nerf that? Well, that's because of the change that they did, which is now if you max bounce pad, you now get a stun, which is something that she had way back and was taken out of the game because it was way too strong. And now they've given it back to her, albeit a significantly weaker version, but they've given it back to her. And I mean, this is actually insanely huge. This is a counter to specific heroes that are problematic. For example, think about McGinnis, right? McGinnis ult is a problem. Well, now you have a Holliday on your team. You have a way of easily applying stun. And Holliday has so much air control that she can very easily control, where she's going to apply her stun with this thing. So I think that all of these changes are insane buffs to Holliday. And I fully expect her to go from she was C tier on most people's tier list to S tier. I fully expect that. Inferno's just got some bug fixes. I'm actually unsure how much those bugs are going to impact them, so you guys can read that if you want, but we'll see if that changes anything at all. Ivy also got a bug change with Stoneform. Apparently, there's times where it could do significantly more damage. I didn't know that. McGinnis got some nerfs. So turret base damage was nerfed by 6, which is 20% nerf, so pretty significant. However, she has better scaling, but she breaks even at 200 spirit power. So Any situation where she has less spirit power than 200, her turrets will be worse than before. So I don't think she's going to have 200 spirit very often. So overall, a welcome change. The tier 3 AP for mini turrets has been nerfed by 5% fire rate. Pick some rare cases where heavy barrage would stop working. Okay, that's unfortunate. I kind of liked it when it stopped working. And heavy barrage has been nerfed again as well by 1.5. So this is like, I think like a 7% DPS nerf. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it should help it make it feel a little bit more manageable. So I'm a big fan of those changes. We've got some page buffs. So now your ultimate Rallying Charge gets its max damage amp at 250 meters instead of 350, which means it's going to be more realistic to hit it. You also get more cooldown reduction, 20 seconds more from the tier 2. The plot armor barrier spirit scaling has been increased by 0.2 again. And the tier 3 has also been increased by 0.2, which means that if you max plot armor, which is her shield, you have 2 spirit scaling on it, which is a lot of spirit scaling, and that should make her shield not feel as bad as it did before. Pocket has received some minor nerfs, I would call, so bullet damage growth from 0.2 to 0.16. This is actually quite a significant gun damage growth nerf if you look at it. So this is, I believe, a 20% nerf, unless I'm miscalculating, but 20% nerf to their gun damage growth. So that's very significant. And then Flying Cloak, tier 3, also got a 1 second cooldown nerf. And Affliction now does half damage on objectives. So overall, welcome nerfs to Pocket. I'm unsure if it's going to be enough, but honestly, it's pretty significant. So we'll see if it's enough. 7 got a crazy nerf to his gun growth. So his gun growth went from 0.33 to 0.34 to 0.24. Now, someone can do the math, but I feel like that's like basically a 30% gun growth nerf, which is probably one of the biggest we've ever seen, I want to say. So it's clear they don't want 7 to do a lot of gun damage. They would want 7 to do a lot of spirit damage. And before, he kind of did both. And I think that's part of one of the biggest reasons why 7 was, you know, quite powerful, especially at lower ranks. It's just the amount of hybrid damage that he outputted was very, very, very high. And then Power Surge tier 3 got a slight nerf as well. So it'll be harder to have like basically permanent Power Surge. Shiv Killing Blow now has 30% extra cooldown when it does not execute a player. This is just to nerf, you know, Shiv's movement in general. Like before, he would just use his ultimate for movement. So now it's like, hey, you can use the ultimate for movement, right? Like what I like about Valve is that a lot of the time they keep the freedom to players, but they're like, hey, if you do use the ultimate for movement, you will be penalized in the form of a longer cooldown, but you know, you can still do it. So I like that. Silver got 2 lines, which is like, okay, well, Silver has been OP for so long. Like, can we please nerf the hero? And so 2 lines feels a little underwhelming. However, those 2 lines are massive. So first line is Lycan Form cooldown increased from 40 to 70 seconds. That's almost double the cooldown for Lycan Form. So that should give her actual downtime. I think one of the previous problems with Silver is she didn't have downtime. She was basically always have her wolf form. It's so rare that you fought Silver without wolf form. It felt like there was no, you know, opportunities to take advantage of her out of position because she'd always had wolf form. And now the Lycan Curse tier 3 no longer heals, so it'll still refresh the abilities on kill, but it shouldn't heal you. And it's not only on kill, it's also an assist, by the way, so that's also probably part of why it was so strong. But that is a massive nerf. So both of those might be enough to bring Silver in kind of in line. I think a lot of people, especially like in lower ranks, like I don't know if Silver was that much of a problem, but in higher ranks, Silver felt like insanely strong. Now Viscous, Puddle Punch tier 2 increased from plus 40 life steal to plus 60. So I don't really think anybody's caring about this right now. So they want people to be able to invest in the Puddle Punch. And the Goo Ball tier 2 also gives you more bullet and more spirit resist. So they're just making Viscous's other APs more attractive. I think most people think Viscous is at least decent right now, if not strong, but not thanks to those APs. So they'll want to bring the other APs up to that level of strength. Now Victor got some nerfs all around. So Aura of Suffering base radius was nerfed by 1 meter. However, you get it back if you max Aura of Suffering. So you have to max it to get it back. And then his ult got 2 cooldown nerfs. So the base cooldown was increased by 10 seconds. And then the tier 3 cooldown gives you 10 seconds less cooldown reduction than it did before. Which means overall your ult at max AP will be longer by 20 seconds, which is very significant. And then Shocking Reanimation tier 3 also does 25 more damage. So they kind of like gave it a little bit more damage as a compensation, but realistically it's such a small compensation compared to how big 20-second cooldown nerf is that these are, you know, very clearly nerfs. They just don't want to take him out back. Vindicta got a little bit more spirit scaling for the max damage bonus on assassinates, or assassinate will be slightly stronger if they're below 50% HP only. Warden got some pretty interesting changes. So essentially what they changed is his bullet fall off is now worse, significantly. What this means is that at range, he will do way less damage than he did before, which makes sense. I mean, Warden has a lot of health. I feel like he's been designed to be this kind of like, close to mid-range carry type hero. And so if he has, the same amount of fall off as some more, mid to long range heroes, it doesn't really make sense to me. And I think that they're going to play around with a lot of heroes' fall off range in the future, because I think a lot of heroes in the game right now have fall off ranges that don't make sense for their gameplay. Alchemical Flask, spirit scaling reduced from 0.73 to 0.63. And by the way, the fall off range is like just a straight up nerf in all situations, right? There's no situation in which this is beneficial for Warden. The Flask does less damage, the tier 2 does less damage, but it reduces the enemy's damage by 5 more percent, which is not really a big deal. So overall nerf, I would say. And then Willpower spirit scaling increased from plus 0.5 to plus 0.8. So that's a buff to Warden's tankiness. Once again, signaling the fact that they want Warden to be tanky. They want Warden to get in there. They just don't want Warden to be doing a lot of damage at the mid to long range. Binding Ward has been nerfed. So the tier 3 specifically doesn't give you minus 18 anymore. It gives you minus 14 seconds. Last Stand Lifesteal has been buffed. And the Last Stand tier 2 and tier 3 have both been buffed. Now tier 3 gives plus 4 seconds duration, which is a lot. So we might see, something else. And by something else, I mean we might see some Spirit Warden. Anyway, that's it for the patch. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. I know I haven't been making as much Deadlock content. Hopefully I'll get back to it, but I just honestly haven't been as much fun with the game, and so I'm trying not to force it. I'm also in the Sage Am Slam, so I've been spending a lot of my time practicing for that, so hopefully I can win that. And yeah, thank you guys for the support. I hope you have a wonderful night.